Welcome to FinOps X Day Amsterdam. Welcome home. My name is Ruben. I am Director of Community, and I've had the privilege to see all of you grow, see all of your practice grow, see new faces, see old faces really evolve in this space. So yeah, I couldn't be more prouder to see all of you here in this amazing venue. We've lined up some amazing breakout sessions. We prepared some chalk talks. And above all, we've gathered 400 FinOps practitioners to actually share, connect, be inspired to each other. Well, that was my introduction, but let's introduce ourselves as well. So in the next 30 seconds, I would love you to actually introduce yourself to your neighbor, behind you, next to you. So ready, set, go. 30 seconds, counting down. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Good stuff. It's good to see. All right, all right, all right. So, folks, time is up. Time is up. Time is up. You can introduce yourself later on in the breakout sessions during the networking. This is always so funny to see folks not stopping to introduce yourself. So please continue to do so in the networking session. But now we've introduced each other, I have a question to the room. Who was here in March 2023 here in Amsterdam at the Community Day? Shout out if you were here. Woo! So for those who were there, I put this slide on the screen. And my message was like, I feel like FinOps is just at the beginning of its potential. We're just at the beginning of this wave of FinOps. And I think almost 3 years later, I think I was quite right. We've seen the practitioner community grow. We see organizations investing in FinOps practices. We see the complexity of cloud augmenting as well. But in hindsight, and today, I think the same message is still standing. I still believe that we are just at the beginning of the wave of the potential of FinOps. And there's a lot of evidence around that as well. We see FinOps practices being asked to take up other areas of tech spend, like AI, for example, or data platforms, or even private data centers being added into the mix. Now, we won't be your lifeguards when you're drowning while surfing the wave, but we are there to support you. And our mission is to advance the people who manage the value of cloud. We're the FinOps Foundation. We're a Linux Foundation program. We operate as a non-profit member organization. And we basically have three main pillars in which we support you, the practitioner. The first is basically my job, and it's honestly one of the best jobs in the world, is community. What we try to do is connect FinOps practitioners, whether you're new, whether you're already very experienced, bring them together, share knowledge, inspire each other, and learn from every diverse aspect within the FinOps practice. So we have our Slack channel, we have the community calls going, we have our summits, we have events like these in order to really bring that community feeling to FinOps practices. The second pillar is around education and certification. We want to be there to support you in augmenting your learnings from very basic introductions over the certified programs and of course the professional core. But the core of the foundation is really a maintaining and evolving best practices and standards. The FinOps framework and of course Focus, the FinOps open cost and usage specifications are great examples of those programs. But I do want to emphasize that it's not the FinOps Foundation itself that defines these practices and standards. It's by the community, for the community, and I just really want to emphasize the power of the community in building those aspects. So what does it look like? And again, if I compare to 3 years ago, we've seen a massive increase in member organizations, FinOps practitioners joining the foundation. So we have about 85,000 participants in all of our programs. We have 62,000 folks trained and certified on various aspects of FinOps. We have about 56,000 folks in the subject matter expert community. But it's not only that. We also see FinOps growing within all types of organizations. 94% of all Fortune 100 have implemented the FinOps practice. We see about a staggering $350 billion of cloud spend represented in the community. But it all comes down to one mission, and that one mission is to support the folks, the people who are managing the value of cloud. And it's about you. And everything that we do is we keep that practitioner in mind in how can we improve, how can we help the practitioner. Now, the folks on this slide is not chosen randomly. These are our FinOps ambassadors. So I know there's quite a lot of you in here. So if you can please stand up, all the FinOps ambassadors, please don't let me down. There you go. We have a very select of high-profile FinOps practitioners, and I would like to take the opportunity to thank you all for what you do in providing feedback, in helping out with events. And as a matter of fact, we have a lot of ambassadors running Chalk Talks or running talks in those sessions. So thank you so much for all you do. And also reach out to them, because they're very nice people. Some of them don't bite, so I'm not going to be standing in front of that. But yeah, definitely reach out to them, talk to them. They're very knowledgeable and very willing to share their practice as well. Last but not least, and this is a slide that you will see come across in the deck as well, is all of these programs that we are running. So I've talked about the global community that we're doing. You will hear more about the FinOps framework, the updates throughout the presentation, focus as well. FinOps our certification program is expanding as well. We will be sharing more details around that later on during the session. But I kind of want to stand still as well on the State of FinOps. State of FinOps is our yearly survey in which we ask FinOps practitioners to voice their opinion on some of the pressing topics that we are seeing. And this is very important for us in order to understand what are the priorities for our practitioners in their practices. And we build our roadmap on the framework and on focus based on the feedback from the practitioners. State of FinOps will open anytime soon. I would definitely ask you to fill it out and really provide that feedback back to the community. FinOps topics. Everything that we do within the foundation is either evolving around one of these topics, and these FinOps topics are truly like the main pressing points that we see within our community. So FinOps for AI, FinOps scopes, and data clouds, for example, is definitely a topic that we see rising up and becoming more and more important. So we kind of want to build out programs, working groups, assets, data sheets, in order to really feed you with the right information for your practice. We do run special interest groups as well, like, for example, the community calls with topics on public sector. So there's a monthly public sector community call and a cloud sustainability community call in which we gather like-minded people, subject matter experts, in order to exchange information, gather information, but also sharing knowledge and experience, and maybe sharing some pain as well in providing with cases that didn't go well, the so-called FinOps as well. I would love to invite you to the website, and I think I as a community director can do a better job in actually promoting these assets, because our website is a wealth of information. We have all of the working group assets that are being being rolled out in a constant manner. We do see a lot of data sheets coming up. We do see a lot of the KPI library, for example. We have FinOps for AI assets where model context protocol, I have to read it from the screen because I cannot remember it, but there's a ton of information available on the assets, but also if you check out our YouTube channel, it contains really golden nuggets because we try to record all of the sessions at all access, and it's really, truly interesting if you want to grow some aspects within your practice. So check out our website. Well, I'm actually done with my section. I would love to welcome on stage J.R. Stormont, Executive Director of the FinOps Foundation.
Very good. All right. Hey, good morning. It is really good to be back in Amsterdam. Came to visit from San Diego, California, where the weather was a bit nicer. But this is one of my favorite cities to come visit. I was actually really excited to come on this trip, which is not something I can say for all the places I go to. So I was thinking about where we were a couple years ago when we were here at this event. We were up in a smaller space on the other side of this building, and at the time we had a lot of deep talks about how to manage cloud efficiently and effective, and that was pretty much the scope of what FinOps was at that point in 2023. I wanted to talk a little bit today about how FinOps has evolved, particularly out this direction, and also up in terms of organizational stack within your individual organizations, and tell some stories around that. So the year after we were here, in 2024, at our conference, at various virtual summits and events around the world, we started to see this theme emerge, where people had gotten really good at doing FinOps in cloud, and their companies were suddenly asking them to do it in some other places. They said, I really like the visibility and the reliability and the optimization and traceability we're getting. Can we do it in our SaaS? Can we do it for our private cloud? Can we do it for some of our licensing? We started to see these talks emerge. You can go check these out on the YouTube. And then we pulled some data in the 2025 State of FinOps survey. This was collected at the end of 2024. And we actually were kind of surprised by the numbers. Almost a supermajority of FinOps practices were already managing SaaS spend in some form. About 40% private cloud, a lot of parallels there, obviously, with virtualization. And really surprising, 36%, this is now almost a year ago, were already starting to manage data center spend as part of their FinOps practice. FinOps for AI had jumped in 1 year from about 30% to over 63% managing AI spend within the FinOps practice. Huge increase. And then we started to see in 2025, this is a slide that Disney presented at the FinOps X conference in San Diego, of their journey into FinOps. And they started in 2019 in cloud. They got really good at that. Then they were asked by the business to look at the SaaS spend. They got good at that. Then they started bringing out on-premise. They figured that out. And they ended up in a world of a holistic view of their consumption-based variable spending in the technology stack so that they could start to do this, apply shared FinOps principles across that whole stack of distributed accountability, of using the variable nature, of making sure that they were approaching this in a cloud-like fashion in other areas with the granular data. This enabled them to get to this sort of view, which is really a shift left story, right? It's about bringing FinOps earlier into the application design process to say, we need to build this thing in these ways with these business criteria. Let's figure out early on in the process, using the FinOps team's knowledge, using the data, the constraints around cost, around value, around time that we need to deliver this. And then critically, because they were doing FinOps across all these different areas, where's the best place to put this? We have these cloud commitments. We're going to put this in cloud. We have these data centers that we own. What should we put there? We have SaaS. When does it make sense to use that? And to prioritize the roadmap and to start to look at rationalizations for where they could put these things. Now, this view for them was very much a application level conversation. We've decided to build this. Where should it go and how? We've seen this start to shift even further, though, and I'll get to that in a minute. So on the back of these changes, again, that we saw dramatically come in over about an 18-month period, we made the first major update to the FinOps definition. The core definition that's lived on FinOps.org since 2019 had a small tweak to it, because no longer was FinOps being applied to maximize the business value of cloud. It started to be applied into other areas. So our Technical Advisory Council voted to add the words "and technology." Same things around enabling timely, data-driven decision-making, same things around financial accountability and collaboration, but a little more types of spend in there. So each year we review the FinOps framework, and we updated that as well. We needed to look at the principles. The principles actually stayed fairly unchanged with some small tweaks. Instead of business value of cloud, business value of technology. Instead of FinOps should be a central team, we changed that to say FinOps should be enabled centrally, because many of you don't just have a central team, but you've got a CCOE or some sort of effort like that that's distributed. And we started to introduce the concept of scopes, which we're going to talk a lot about today, which were essentially ways that you could apply your FinOps practice to different segments of technology spend. Some small changes to language in there to clarify those things as well. At the top, though, critically, we started to see that the FinOps teams were no longer doing reactive, point-based optimization after the fact. They were starting to change their practices based on the business strategy and the technology strategy coming down from the executive leadership in the organization. So we started to see this, what I would call sort of a architectural elevator, cost elevator, moving up and down, FinOps in the middle, becoming a bridge between the business strategy and the technology strategy. Many of you, for many years, operating on the bottom layer, FinOps working on architectural efficiency, right sizing, maybe some small commitments to your cloud providers, but increasingly moving up the stack to look at product strategy, or even where we're going to place things, and ultimately moving up to getting insights from the C-suite around organizational strategy, new markets we needed to enter, things we needed to change. We had a great fireside chat in San Diego this year with the EVP of technology at Salesforce. He reports right into the CIO level. He's getting mandates down from the board about things they need to implement, and he's implementing those down the stack into the engineering and FinOps teams below him. So this drive of up and down also changed the way we started to think about how budgeting works in an organization. I'm going to build this in the opposite direction, but on the bottom, you've got teams and projects and various strategic initiatives, BUs, working around the things that we're already thinking about, like right-sizing, getting rid of duplicate technology, mitigating cost overruns. Moving up that stack, we start to get this often split of platform teams, technology teams on one side, working alongside the business, and at this layer, they're thinking about unit economics. And I had a few chats with a few of you before I came in, and unit economics came up about 3 times. They're starting to think about workload placement. What should I put where, in what fashion? Not just because I have AWS or Azure, but because I now live largely, many of you, in a happily hybrid state, where I'm going to put things not just cloud first, but into the right cloud and potentially into the right type of technology. And above that, increasingly we're seeing this governance layer where the FinOps team sits across all this technology spend and across both multiple business units and different types of platforms, working within enterprise PMO, interfacing with a CCOE, depending on your model, and really being a translation layer from that top level up. And a critical thing we're hearing in a lot of the executive conversations right now about FinOps is, how do I use that data to get better at, some feedback, hope that's not me. How do I use that data to get better at strategic negotiations with my vendors? How do I prepare my teams to come in with the right data to make sure that I'm getting the best deal, but I'm also figuring out what sort of technology partnerships I need to get in place. Those technology partnerships are going to influence decisions all the way down, and the data coming up from the bottom is going to influence the negotiations, contracts, commitments, and technology partnerships we do at the top. So this last year, we've started to see this aspect of FinOps enabling these executive decisions. We're going to dig into how the FinOps framework has evolved with scopes, the idea being that those decisions come down, they influence the scope of FinOps, and that cascades into the way that you structure your practice. It also feeds the data back up. So a FinOps scope, as it was defined last year by the Technical Advisory Council, is a segment of technology spending to which FinOps practitioners, I'm reading it carefully, apply FinOps concepts. Does not say it's a type of technology, and it does not say I'm just for which cloud or which data source. It's how I apply concepts from the framework into my practice. This is going to affect lots of things. So we start with the business strategy. What are we getting down from the top in terms of what we need to do? Using that data, we're going to set a scope of the practice. And I'm saying a scope because your FinOps practice may have 10, 15, 20, 50 scopes. We don't set the scopes. You set and define that scope based on your business needs to then determine how you're going to go implement changes in your infrastructure, whether it be in cloud or SaaS or data center or anywhere else. This defines not only the capabilities you apply to the practice, it also affects the personas involved. We might be involving IT asset management people. We might be involving security people. We might be talking to the AI team or the MLOps team. We might be talking to our ITFM or our TBM team or whatever that looks like for your organization. And so you'll start to see a setup in our companies where they've got a bunch of scopes defined. You know, the one that we all started with was the efficient cloud scope, right? Like, how do I get more efficiency out of my AWS, Azure, Google, et cetera? But then we start to see ones like, I want to innovate with AI. And in that scope, we're actually worried much less about cost optimization. We're trying to move fast. We're trying to make sure we can predict costs, but we're trying to get to market quickly based on that top-down directive that we must use AI to innovate in our business. We're also starting to see a set of scopes around things like, how do I not only historically leave the data center, but how do I migrate and make changes as part of that? Sorry for the noise here, folks. I'm hoping we might get a swap out real quick. Thank you. How many of you attended the Barcelona event last year? Wow, that's amazing, really exciting. If you notice, we like venues by the water. That's sort of our thing. It's great to be here and see so many of you. Okay, I think this sounds better, so I'll dive back in. So where I wanted to go with this was some stories from, you may have seen Natalie Daly was here 3 years ago. She is one of our governing board members. She's been a longtime practitioner. She just spoke actually at our Tokyo event, and I wanted to pull this slide from her talk because this very complicated slide that I won't do as much justice as she did when she shared it outlines some pretty important things. If you look at the numbers on the top row, those numbers are really big initially, and that's their public cloud growth year over year, right? Public cloud is accelerating dramatically as they're going. And then toward the end of that, the public cloud growth gets a lot smaller. Okay, so they're not as focused on savings and data center moves, but they're starting to think about cumulative business benefits and value on the next row down. And then they're starting to bring in marketplace spending over time. She told the story of how she engaged with the FinOps community, as many of you have, from being a certified practitioner to she joined the board early to then also becoming an ambassador. But then she stacked in over the years how the different capabilities of her FinOps practice had evolved. So on this side, it was all about the basic cloud capabilities of rate optimization, forecasting, et cetera. They added workload optimization. You notice the team is starting to grow here, bigger than a lot of FinOps teams, because over time, she started to stack in things like data center. She took in the TBM team. She took in the ITAM team. She was building analytics. They got into hardware asset management, which they're now doing actively as part of this. Over time, the situation and system they're working in was not about how do we optimize cloud. It was about how do we give that same level of granularity and visibility in cloud to all these other areas and drive up and down C-level reporting. She also shared this model of what it looked like at HSBC. And what was interesting about their setup is, as we're seeing frequently, FinOps is sitting right below a group CIO or CTO level. In their model, they had it next to the platform teams, not necessarily embedded, because this is a bit of you don't want the fox guarding the henhouse model. They wanted a little bit of separation of church and state, if you will, between those. This model is a little bit different than some of the others we're seeing evolve. Some companies don't have the CIOs. Sometimes it goes to the CTO, but it's a typical path we're seeing as this evolves. So I wanted to share a few habits we're seeing of companies who are doing these FinOps-enabled executive decisions. These four are actually from a major US insurance company that is working through a similar process a little further along, and they shared the story with us recently of how they have changed the way they're doing this. Now, in this company's example, there's actually an SVP of FinOps who is reporting directly into the CTO, who reports to the CIO. And one of the critical things they've started to do is obviously move past this conversation of savings, move past the conversation of server counts and individual technology concepts to business value conversations. They've also, as we saw in that first slide from Disney, started to become strategic advisors to the technology migration rationalization process, embedding the teams earlier on. In this example as well, they brought in industry-specific value frameworks. So this one was insurance, I mentioned. In insurance, there's a concept of loss ratios, which is how much money are they losing against claims, and then stacking in all the costs associated with that. So they were shifting the aspect of FinOps and the technology discipline is really helping to drive better loss ratios, which is what their board cared about. It's not just about optimizing the spend. From the next level there, they got clear organizational authority structures. So as I mentioned, in this case, it's an SVP reporting into a CTO. We are seeing in the last year this crazy confluence of this role. It's always VP level plus, and the person is a VP of infrastructure, SVP or EVP, C-1 level reporting, and they own FinOps, which typically starts in cloud and then moves out. This person said, as one of his must-haves, that FinOps must be across all infrastructure types because he wants to use FinOps to be those trade-off conversations about what needs to sit in what location at what time. Underneath him, as we saw with Natalie's structure, a multidisciplinary team, a team that is your FinOps analysts, your financial analysts, but also engineers, embedded cost engineers working with business units to get in there and make change, sometimes to automate, sometimes to do more point optimization, but working critically to the last point to move to a proactive culture. They brought in the concept that they're trying to get rid of what they call true-ups. Many of you who have worked with software have dealt with true-ups where you get to the end of the contract and you realize you're over or under. He said basically if we're ever hitting a true-up situation, we're being lazy because we should be treating our software, our licensing, our all-you-can-eat licenses in the data center in the same way we're treating cloud, right? We want to be knowing what we're using, forecasting that, optimizing as we go, and instead of getting to the renewal, whether it be small or large or multi-year, at the time we need to get there, planning for it 6-9 months ahead with the right data so our leadership can go have the right conversations and make the right negotiations as part of that. They, as we saw, also have an integrated CIO level conversation. His critical must-have was he went to the group CIO and said, we need to have FinOps at the table in the CIO business unit, or they have CIO BU leaders, so there's a set of CIOs. And they baked FinOps into the business reviews. So monthly business reviews that each of the CIOs did, FinOps team at the table discussing the trade-offs in technology spend and value. They also brought in quarterly strategic sessions looking at the overall app portfolio and the infrastructure portfolio to make decisions about architecture, technology roadmap, and really getting to accountability, right? And that's the core thing in FinOps from the principles is that everyone must be responsible for their individual spend to take advantage of the variable nature. So getting that plugged in, and finally getting to a more cross-functional governance, which leads to conversation of negotiation. So how do we get the right cadences going with strategic sourcing, with procurement, informed by the FinOps data, resulting in things like adding on marketplace governance. In this case, they went and set up a structure where the procurement teams were not allowed to engage in purchase from marketplaces, from clouds or otherwise, until they had done this review about existing commitments, and landing in a spot where they were being very proactive with their vendor negotiations. So this whole model comes together with a lot of pieces that are block and tackle business technology items, but infused with the FinOps speed, velocity, and data that we get. And increasingly, we're going to hear a little bit about the focus spec later, we're seeing more and more types of technology spend have cloud-like elements. One of the things that AI has done is it's brought in consumption models to SaaS spending. You go and buy your Salesforce license now, there's add-ons for AI, that's consumption-based. We're seeing private cloud providers pop in and say, hey, we want to start putting out focus data that is cloud-like because our customers are demanding that same variability. So we start to bring all this together. So one of the new programs the foundation has is a group called FinOps Exec. The palm tree logo is because it's tied to the X conference in San Diego, but it's now a global event that we're doing virtually with strategic locations and roundtables, specifically catered to the VP, SVP level. A few of you in this room have introduced your VPs and SVPs into this. It's a great place to bring that small group, highly vetted, to discuss that sort of CIO level integration. So if you're interested in getting your teams involved with this program, it's a lot of peer networking, please talk to your local community director. One of the other things we're putting out are best practices around FinOps-enabled executive decisions. There's some great insights articles on our FinOps.org blog, if you will, and a lot more coming. But next, we wanted to dig into and give you a bit of a real-world case study of an organization that has done a lot of this flow of integrating together different technology types, starting with software asset management, integrating their ITFM, and ultimately rolling that all into an integrated FinOps practice. So please welcome to the stage Wim from Randstad.
All right. Yeah, good to be here. Actually, this used to be my hometown for 10 years. I moved 2 years back. I moved to a different place, but it feels always very nice and warm to be in Amsterdam. So my name is Wim. I'm from Randstad, and I'm the global FinOps lead for the company. So this is what we're doing at Randstad. So basically, we're the #1 HR talent provider. We do business in 40 different markets. We call them operating companies. We have revenue of 24 billion. And I'm specifically proud of that. We have roughly 50% female in leadership positions. Our FinOps journey started 5 years back. So we did the usual. So we started with providing cost visibility. At Randstad, we call that fully loaded costs. So that those includes cost, including support costs from the cloud vendors. We start with price optimizations, where we always called out that we need a central team to influence the P, but the markets, the 40 different markets, should influence the consumption. We call that the advice on the Q, so that's the consumption. And not last but not least, we built a robust reporting capability with all kinds of reports, specifically on the cloud. Application insights, AWS insights, GCP insights, any other cloud insights, but also correlations between revenue and cloud cost. How did we do this? So this is a framework we started with. We have those 5 different pillars, and each of those pillars, they represent a stakeholder. We call this the FinOps Roundtable. These 5 stakeholders are, of course, not all stakeholders on the table. Sometimes we have different stakeholders as well, but these are the most important stakeholders. And then you think, okay, if you work together with procurement to get cloud contracts, you work together with technology to get the right technology in place, but how do you scale this? So at Randstad, we started with what we call the business relationship managers, which are our vehicle to ship our FinOps practice to 40 different markets. So in essence, we're leveraging the BRMs to make sure that our story, that what we think we should do as a company, that also gets implemented across the globe. This piece became that successful that our business leaders asked us the question, whatever you guys do within the cloud, making things consumption-based, can you guys please help us out with all the other different services? So then I'm not talking only about technology, I'm not talking about cloud, but I also talk about support contracts. So for instance, contracts with MSPs. So basically what we did is we started extending whatever we do in the cloud to other support contracts with the main ambition to align cost better to business activities. That was crucial for us. So maybe as a reference for you guys, so within Randstad, we're really sailing or navigating the economy. So that means if economy goes up, we're able to spend more to boost our talent strategy. But if economy goes down, we need to rapidly cut cost, because otherwise, we're missing our targets. This goes that far that in our annual report, we have a metric called recovery ratio, and that metric tells us that if we go up with 1% or down with 1% revenue, our costs can go with 0.5% up or down. So it's 50%. So if we look back to our cloud journey, and if we project that to what we currently are doing, we do exactly the same. So we have, again, the five stakeholders, but we needed to build some robust practices around. And you can debate where we place the drivers, because we think if we talk, for instance, in financial area about the rolling forecast process, which is really important for us, that is only finance, but that's not the case. Of course, all the different stakeholders are part of the whole process. So what we did, we created 5 capabilities. So within finance, we created a governance process, we created a rolling forecast process. We'll come back to that, which is important to match demand and supply. From technology standpoint, I'm not going to talk about cloud technology, but we started inventing an ITFM model with an Randstad layer on top. And this is the main part, is to move things to consumption-based modeling, you need to discuss those things with your vendors. So start discussing that, make it as much as possible variable-based so you can steer it. We have what we call GAS. GAS is Global IT Services. We started making our service owners responsible for everything, so not only technology or cloud, but also for the contracts. And of course, we made sure that we present the right consumption insights to the right people from the business. So one of the most important things to do is to make sure that the stakeholders, or that the different roles in the organization also, that you get their buy-in, so that you also call them to do something. So for the local CEO and CFO, to make things more consumption-based, so in our case it literally means like a black box contract, and so we just paid one amount to an MSP party, and making it consumption-based means that we're generating a lot of additional insights, which the local CEO, local CFO in one of the markets can execute on, because they are, in our model, responsible for the advice on the volumes, on the consumption, so they can really navigate the volumes down or up, dependent on the market need. By the way, if you make things volume-based, then you can also rapidly ship new technologies to the market. For the global CEO, moving contracts to consumption-based, that also means managing it from a different angle. So you get a more standardized approach, which means the global CEO can really steer on the standardized approach with one source of truth. So I do think, by the way, that a data model behind is really important to be able to execute on. And of course, with moving things to consumption-based, you create also a culture or different culture. A culture where things are getting discussed on the table. A culture where people help each other based on actual data points instead of gut feelings. Then, how we manage. So in the back end, we prepared this model. We call this a rolling forecast model. These are all the relevant stakeholders in scope. You see from FinOps, we make sure we facilitate the process. Our SOs, service owners, they're accountable for the volumes. The markets, we will present the volumes to the markets. They will validate the volumes and come with projections about the forecast, about expected demand. And then you see GIS LT, which is our leadership team, and they report directly to the global CEO. They approve everything, and then we close the forecast. And of course, we ask the service owners to make sure that also from a capacity point of view, we're able to execute on the plans. From an ITFM model, so we just discussed the process we put in place to manage all of this. We also need some technology to be able to group things. I will not go into detail, but this is an example of ITFM model in practice, of course with the big Randstad source. So this is not, you will not see this in any of the books, but you see we structuring things in what we call technology towers or service towers. And then within the forecast process, we use those service towers, and we categorize them in 3 elements. We have run support, which means all our support contracts and all our own people. We have run assets, which means Those are our licenses, and we have what we call one-off costs. Those are our projects. But these are the 3 pillars. If you want to implement this, and we'll come back on this in my session together with Harsh from Randstad, you need a few mechanisms to move things to consumption-based. So first mechanism is you need operating procedures. So how do we measure consumption? How many consumption drivers do we have? You need detailed invoicing procedures. So what do you do if things go wrong or if consumption spikes in the 2 different areas? So it can be a plus 40 suddenly of a specific consumption drive or minus 40, but how do you deal that together? In trust, of course, with your partner. And you need to think about the reporting. Then, so at the end of the day, what we're aiming at Randstad and what I would highly recommend you all doing, don't focus only on cloud, don't focus only on technology, focus on the whole suite of services and make sure you optimize it as best as possible. And for instance, looking into application landscape, if you're able to move your contracts more to consumption-based, then you can also put the responsibility to the right people, in our case, the market/operating companies, and then you're able to optimize not only one specific cloud component, you optimize the whole IT cost, which I think is very helpful if you're a FinOps practitioner. So combine everything, combine cloud, support cost, and also your item practice. And with that, I think we move to the next speaker to speak more about item.
Thank you, Wim. So this type of integrated practice, we're seeing, I think, the most around a concept, particularly of software assets, which you noticed was in his title, and FinOps, because they really come together across 2 different angles. One from the side of risk, compliance, governance, one from the side of value realization. I hate to say it, I don't think any of them are in the room, but Gartner was kind of right on this one. A couple years ago, they said ITAM and FinOps were going to come together, and we're seeing that increasingly happen. The way the clouds are doing this, places like Microsoft, we're seeing that integration of software licensing and cloud, and we're seeing a lot of overlap between these communities start to emerge. So, in order to talk more about that concept and really confluence that's happening, wanted to bring out one of the people who knows ITAM better than anyone else really in the world. Please welcome to the stage Martin Thompson, the founder of the ITAM Forum.
Good morning. I'm Martin from the ITAM Forum. I'm very pleased to be here. The ITAM Forum is doing very similar things to the FinOps Foundation in that we're not-for-profit and we're community-led, except we're doing it for this discipline called IT asset management. And my proposition to you today, my idea that I'd like for you to chew on, is that by working with ITAM, you can actually accelerate the impact and the growth of your FinOps practice. Okay, that's my idea. But what I love about environments like this, what I love about the community that the FinOps Foundation has built, is that this is just my ideas, right? We can continue the conversation later on. We've got a chalk talk around ITAM and FinOps later on, and you can challenge these ideas. We can discuss them. We can all chew over them, and the whole industry benefits. Okay. So what I'd love to do is get a feel for the room first of all. So, can I have a show of hands, please? Who currently works in an ITAM role at the moment? Okay, a very small minority. Okay, welcome. Can I ask who, so if you're in your FinOps team, who is actually collaborating regularly with an ITAM, SAM, or licensing team? A show of hands, please. Okay, I'd say that's maybe over half. And final question, who has one boss that oversees both FinOps and ITAM? Show of hands, please. Wow, okay, that's more than I thought it was going to be. That's probably a quarter. Okay, thank you. So what I'm going to do, for those not familiar with ITAM, The sort of dictionary definition is you are managing an asset from cradle to grave, and you're managing the cost and risk of that asset. That's what asset management does, okay? Now that kind of sounds familiar to FinOps, right? But it's slightly different, and there are nuances, and I'm going to suggest that if you can play on those nuances, play on those differences, it can actually enhance your FinOps practice. So imagine, just by means of an example, let's assume that you work for a national grocery chain across the Netherlands, okay? So you've got stores across the Netherlands. A key part of that business is actually getting the produce out to those stores, right? Because if you've got no produce to the stores, you've got no turnover, you've got no business. So although the trucks are not the sexy part of the business, they're pretty strategic, right? So it makes common business sense that we ought to manage them. How many have we got? Are they legal? Are they efficient as possible? Are the drivers qualified? And so on and so forth. That's common sense, okay? That is effectively what ITAM is doing, but for IT infrastructure. We are looking after the asset throughout its life cycle, minimizing the risk, optimizing the cost, okay? Now, when ITAM does that well, what it can do is use that cost and risk data and actually help the business plan. So if the supermarket chain turned around and said, right, we want to do 20 more stores next year, we have the data to be able to calculate whether we can support that or not. So this is how we are doing similar things, but for slightly different reasons. Now, I'm not suggesting that FinOps can't do that. I'm not suggesting that this is exclusive to ITAM. What I'm suggesting is this is ITAM's background, okay? They've done it from a point of governance, and you can use that for your advantage as you expand your FinOps practice. A couple of other nuances to think about. Any exposure to ITAM you might have had so far might have been licensing-led or compliance-led. We are not just being about the compliance police. We also do hardware, we do software, we do data center, we do desktops. Sometimes we do mobile, sometimes we do networking equipment. And we're not just doing compliance. We're also doing optimization, cost saving. We're doing legal risk, contractual risk, regulatory risk. So there's a lot more to us than just doing compliance. The second point is ITAM comes from a point of governance, okay? Whereas FinOps I see as a point, your principal point is value realization, demonstrating value, scaling that value, okay? Now what I'm suggesting is if you work with ITAM, you can actually scale that value, but also meet the governance rules at the same time. So that puts you in a lot stronger position. Final point, the final nuance is that ITAM data has real strategic value. When ITAM is done well, then it's shared across finance, across procurement, across CMDB, across security, and it should be shared with FinOps. You should be capitalizing on this data, okay? Now, final point is we are different. We come from different places, but we're doing very similar things, but I'm not suggesting this is a one-way street. ITAM also needs to learn from what you're doing in FinOps. This is a two-way collaboration, and I think it's really key to your development. Now, what an ITAM person will do is, when they're looking at their estate, is they apply the Pareto principle. Because when you move out of public cloud, when you're doing public cloud, you might have 2, 3, 4 different vendors to look after. As I'm sure many of you have realized, as you move out of public cloud into, say, SaaS or data center, you might have hundreds, if not thousands, of different suppliers. So the way that ITAM works, and maybe you work like this too, is they'll say, well, 80% of our risk and cost savings are in 20% of our estate. So if we focus on just a handful of big vendors, we'll make a massive impact in terms of our impact for the practice. And I'm suggesting you capitalize on this from a FinOps perspective. As you grow out your FinOps practice, perhaps you can look at some of the top 4 there, for example, that you're probably already working with, and you can think, how could we expand the value of FinOps beyond public cloud, not just across the entire stack, but specifically for vendor by vendor. And there's 2 real strong benefits, I think, of doing that. Firstly, internally, I think you look a lot better, and FinOps is already a strong proposition, but you look even stronger if you can see the whole contract in the round. You can see all the governance and risk, plus demonstrate the value. I think that puts you in a really strong position with senior management, okay? The second strong argument for doing this is I think it puts you in a really strong position when you're negotiating and building a relationship with the likes of a Microsoft, for example, because you can see the contract, the whole relationship in the round. And there's lots of other examples here of crossover where ITAM is working. It should be great areas for collaboration with FinOps. So that's the sort of 10,000 feet view. There's also a few tactical things we could be working on. If you've got any form of enterprise agreement on the horizon with more than public cloud, great opportunity to work with ITAM. If you've got hybrid environments where people are buying things from all over the place, great opportunity to work for ITAM. And if you've got, like most people, you've got SaaS sprawl, another great opportunity to work with ITAM. So my message here today is a great opportunity to work with ITAM if you're looking to expand the scope of your practice. By doing that, you can do it whilst managing the governance and the risk of that, whilst demonstrating the value, so you look a lot stronger in the eyes of senior management. And by doing those two things, you elevate both the impact of your practice and your reputation. So that's my proposition. Please come and discuss that at the Chalk Talk at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Martin, for bringing this perspective. Right. Oops, I need to switch it. Cool. We've heard a lot about scopes, and maybe it's time to actually quiet it a bit down and go over like what do we actually mean with scopes and provide you with a few examples. As a reminder, you set up the business strategy and the technology strategy up front, and then basically the scopes give you the context for you as a practitioner to actually select, determine the different persona that you're interacting with within your practice. And what you do then is select the domains and the capabilities that are applicable for this particular scope, and actually build them out in the sense that you see fit within your practice. A misconception is that scopes are predefined and set out by the foundation. No, we really want to emphasize on the fact that you as a practitioner within your practice, you build out the scopes for which the spend you are actually going to manage. Let me give you a few examples, like efficient cloud, and cloud still remains like quite a lot of priority for many of the FinOps practitioners, and you will never be done in evolving your practice because you will get new challenges, you will get new business units that are getting spun up, or new technologies that emerge from cloud providers. And basically, these scopes basically allows you to set up that foundation and that fundament to actually manage that spend. And it's not only for efficient cloud that that you can set up your scope, but a few other examples are, of course, efficient cloud. But if you're innovating with AI, other capabilities, other domains are applicable for that particular domain. And certainly with AI, we see a lot of organizations where business units or in the business themselves, they are experimenting with AI models, and you suddenly see a spike within your account, basically asking like, okay, where is that coming from? And readjusting the personas that you are working with. Data center is a big one, and quantifying licensing comes up as well. And what we're trying to do in the next few minutes is provide you with a few examples, a few stories, in order to set you up and give you some inspiration. With having that said, I would like to welcome on stage Vas Markanastasakis. He's our FinOps fellow.
Hey everyone.
I did it.
Thanks so much. Hey everybody. It's nice to see you all. It's nice to see some familiar faces. My role at the FinOps Foundation is really to serve as a cautionary tale. This is what happens when you spend too much time looking at billing data. It's not pretty. My other role is to work on the FinOps framework. And I always like to say the FinOps framework is for the community, by the community. And what do I mean by that? We're always working to identify updates to the FinOps framework based on conversations we have with the community and what you're doing in your FinOps practice. And Gerard kind of touched on that earlier. We work closely with our technical advisory council. They oversee the framework. They provide technical vision and direction for its development. And I'd like to take a moment too, because I think we have a couple of members of our technical advisory council here. I think Tom is here. Tom, if you want to raise your hand. Yay. And Lucas, is Lucas here? Shout out Lucas if you're here. If you get a chance, grab Tom and Lucas, talk to them, and tell them about what your challenges are. We're always looking to make sure we align the framework to your practices. All this to say, FinOps Scopes was introduced as part of Framework 2025 based on the challenges and activities we were seeing in the community. And if you take away only 3 things about FinOps Scopes today, they should be: a FinOps Scope is about creating context. It's not a technology, it's not an infrastructure, we don't predefine the list. Your organization's priorities will inform that context, and you build a practice profile around that context. A scope sets the expectations about which personas, domains, and capabilities are in scope. It enables you to drive priorities for how to apply the framework within that context. So on that note, let's talk about FinOps Scopes in real life. I'd like to welcome to the stage FinOps Ambassador, expert FinOps practitioner, and my friend, Benjamin Vandermas. Welcome, Benjamin. Thanks for joining me.
Cheers.
So Benjamin, I have some questions for you.
Cool.
Hopefully they're good ones. All right, get my notes out. And I think, Benjamin, let's take a look. So, Benjamin, how many FinOps Scopes have you developed as part of your FinOps practice, and how did you decide which ones to create?
So the magic number that you're looking for is 8. But one thing that I do want to say is we have developed them, but they will always be in development. So they're never going to be done, I think, because they always evolve. Technology evolves, business requirements evolve. And we determined what to build and what to onboard basically because of what the business asked us. What story they needed to tell and the data that they were lacking from what we were already giving them with public cloud. Basically what they came to us and said, hey, we need this piece of data in there to leverage our unit economics to tell our story. That's what we started looking at, what we started onboarding.
And these are FinOps Scopes
so
that are part of, these are 4 of the FinOps Scopes.
So these are 4, I think, 4 of the more interesting ones of what we did. And these are inherent. Like I'd like to say that public cloud, we have 5 different public clouds within public cloud. So 8, I'd say there's more. But these 4 are really interesting, really unique in their own, each in their own way.
And I was going to ask, sort of as a follow-up, once you decided on these FinOps Scopes, how did you adapt the framework capabilities for each scope and its unique needs?
Well, it all starts obviously with data ingestion, allocation, showback, chargeback. And then we started looking at, for the ones that it makes sense for, what can we transfer over from our public cloud practice? So that would be things like anomaly detection, forecasting, benchmarking, planning and estimating. And then we started looking at, okay, what is the role of this particular technology or part of or sort of business entity that we are onboarding, and what could FinOps help to make it better? What could FinOps do to make it better? And so for DevOps tooling, that would be that's different than for sustainability, for example. Sustainability is more storytelling, enabling, than where DevOps tooling is really this nitty-gritty thing that we build ourselves that we're now helping to distribute and take ownership of. I think there is a big difference there.
That's great. And so with so many scopes, how do you then decide which scopes get your attention or resources day to day?
That's difficult. I sort of like to compare it to when it's outside raining. This is a bit of a metaphor, and you see these raindrops trickle down your window. Each of them go into different speeds, and sometimes one goes faster than the other, and they sort of bunny hop. And we see the same with scopes. So one day we might be really, or a few months, we might be really pushing for Databricks, and that will hit a snatch or a point where we need a review from the business or more data or a feature to be generally available. And then we start working on something else. And so we try to really look at, okay, what can we make progress on, keep that momentum going. And this is something that I hope to talk about maybe later in my chalk talk as well, but it also depends on what we have available in our team, because Scopes is really challenging us to become not just one team of all the same FinOps practitioners, but really expand that FinOps persona into different things, into new capabilities.
Yeah, and that's a nice segue. I feel like the next natural question would be, are there maturity difference between those scopes, and how has maturity changed over time?
There's definitely maturity differences for the simple fact, well, obviously there's the public cloud that we've been working on for years, and we've only just started onboarding some, so there is obviously that difference. But there's also some scopes that are just ready and done. You ingest them, you put them in your data format, whether that's Focus or something else, and you have a clear language on how to expose them. But there are some where you know that there is a scope, you know that there is something that you want to be transparent about and then help the business optimize, but you don't know what story you're telling. You need to work with the business. And so that takes a lot more time. And you are not only bringing a technology in that is in its infancy, but it's also within the organization still its infancy. And that is also a big difference.
Something you touched on a couple times up until now was personas. And I want to ask you, are there any personas that are critical in one scope versus another? If we set public cloud aside for a moment and you look at the other three scopes that are on the screen, are there any personas that you've identified as critical for each of those?
Yeah, so obviously FinOps practitioner, and I think that could be a whole talk in and of itself on how that changed us. Then there's engineering, because we quickly found like DevOps is a great one, where we had engineering built all these things that they are selling sort of to our business stakeholders, and they are working with us to enable that chargeback and that optimization and that unit economics of that, where we heavily rely on them. But I think one of the interesting things to touch upon is the product persona, because in onboarding more scopes, our team changed into become a product team. We have a very strong build, don't buy policy, where we build all the data pipelines, tooling, dashboards, everything ourselves. And that changed us into a product team where we own the FinOps product, where we have to think like product owners and market it. And so in working with different product teams within the organization, we learn from them as they've been doing that for a longer time.
Gotcha. And so on that note, are there any insights in one scope that you've discovered that can be applied to another scope? And if there are, do you have an example?
Yeah, so scopes kind of completely uprooted the nice and comfort structure that we had for public cloud. It completely decimated where we used to have, and this might ring true to a lot of people in the room, we had a really strict a cloud account, one application / project / whatever. That completely got decimated, and now we have accounts with multiple applications, multiple projects, etc. But the business always thinks of, this is my application, this is my product, this is my project. And so these other scopes that we're onboarding, they didn't go through that public cloud vendor model where it's account, or subscription. So they have this neatly stacked up technology thing on application basis. And so we're ingesting that and seeing, hey, for all these scopes, we can tell the story the way the business knows it, with the way they speak the language. So we're going to have to adapt the one that we're most comfortable with to fit into that application structure. And that's an interesting challenge that we're currently working on.
Yeah, I bet. And you've really made quite a journey, like with a variety of scopes, the way you're managing scopes. And I'm just wondering if you'd share with us, looking back now, is there anything you wish you knew when you started this journey?
Yeah, so complete transparency. Last year, Barcelona, I was looking to give a proposal, there was a call for proposal, and there were these topics. And one of them was scopes, and this was like April last year, I don't know, March last year. And I was looking at scopes, and I was like, this is so interesting. I wish we were doing scopes. All the while, we were already onboarding all these things. But we were trying to push it all into the public cloud model, because like Databricks, for example, it pulls off of public cloud resources. So you're just trying to fit it in there.
Yep.
And so back then, I didn't have the mindset of like, these are separate things. And then we started working together right before the launch on Scopes, and Scopes was launched in March. And this sort of made me think, hey, I don't need to fit it all into one. I don't need to make it all fit into the same model, the same structure, the same capabilities. And that is what I wish I knew way earlier, because that would have saved us some pain in how we structure data ingestion, modeling, etc.
Yeah, that's great insight. And so I want to also ask, if you were just starting with scopes, what would you tell a team to prioritize first?
Look at what the business needs most. FinOps is all, like, JR has this great line, FinOps is not about saving money, but it's about making money. And it's about enabling value and enabling storytelling. And whatever enables the business most, that is what you should go after. I think as FinOps for public cloud, because FinOps is a reactive practice. It came out of a lot of bill shock. A lot of organizations started with, hey, we have this problem that needs solving, so we implement FinOps. And so FinOps started working for solving that problem. And with scopes where we are already established, we are not working for them, we're working with them. And I think that is a big difference. If you start onboarding new clouds, look how you can work with them. It's no longer going to be something that you do within your FinOps team. It's going to be something that you are completely ingraining yourself into these other business units that you're onboarding.
Yeah, that's a great, basically people, process, and technology, which is FinOps.
Yeah, exactly.
FinOps, right?
Exactly.
So I have one last question for you. And I want to thank you for just sharing your insights and giving us some examples and directions for how you're managing FinOps scopes. But my last question is, this is the important one, am I going to see you in San Diego in 2026?
So I submitted my proposal. I hope to get the chance to be there. I think it's the best opportunity that you can have, and I hope to get that opportunity.
Awesome.
I'm definitely going to make sure that I lobby hard.
I'm looking forward to hanging out with you.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Benjamin. Let's give him a round of applause for Benjamin. Thanks for sharing.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, Wes and Benjamin, for this great chat. Benjamin and his colleague from G&G, Jonathan, will be back managing the Chalk Talk later this afternoon, so there's more Benjamin for all of you. Switching gears a bit more into really going into specifics around those scopes, and I want to introduce the scope for data clouds. And we were kind of struggling with the definition of a data cloud, but we actually came up with like a data cloud is a managed, scalable environment for storing, processing, and analyzing large volumes of data. Most of the FinOps practitioners actually know the data lake pretty well. It's S3 buckets or cloud storage or data lakes where you actually store unstructured data. But with the introduction of data warehouses where you're actually using storage and compute in a different way, it introduced a new complexity. Instead of being built by the hour or built by the data itself, you actually had credits in consumption all of a sudden, so no longer like the direct tie into money as well. You were built by the query, for example, in some of these aspects. So a lot of new complexity in terms of billing and in terms of making things efficient as well. So lately we see lakehouses popping up where it's a combination of structured and unstructured data as well. So adding a new layer of complexity. So in terms of an architecture, it has to be well thought out in terms of efficiency. But what we also see is that different new personas are being introduced who can help with that efficiency. Like, for example, tuning queries or really looking at the most efficient architecture for data analytics and heavy data loads in that aspect. So what we've done during summer is we've actually spinned up a new working group around data clouds, and I have to give a shout out to my colleague Dean Oliver, who's managing the UK and Ireland community, and we are dressed in the same jacket and the same T-shirts by coincidence, but it's okay. He has started to work out this working group, and the first assets are coming out of that working group. And one thing I really wanted to show you is that actually every single principle is the same, but it's kind of the variables that are changing. And certainly when you're working with data clouds, with different teams outside of the engineering teams, for example, we see data clouds being managed in the data platform teams rather than in cloud infrastructure teams, for example. So it introduces a new set of persona, a new set of capabilities as well, that where you need to have other key considerations rather than working with cloud providers. So allocation and budgeting becomes different if you're working with a credit system rather than with just like getting billed by the hour for particular resources. forecasting and anomaly detection is actually a bit different than what you usually do with cloud. Reporting, policy, and governance. And what we see as well is that while in a cloud infrastructure, most of these assets or these variables are actually pretty mature, introducing new data clouds like Snowflake or Databricks, all of these principles are still on a less mature stage. So work with those teams in order to get that working. So in hindsight, and just to give a bit of a conclusion as well, this is an example of how you could set the context for your FinOps practice in managing data clouds. And again, the same principles, but slightly different as well. And this is a good example to how to structure it. I just want to point out, so the first asset of the working group has been launched, so it's the FinOps for data clouds. We are working on a capability guide, and where I'm super excited about is that there will be vendor-specific deep dives into managing those specific environments as well. Having said this, I would love to welcome on stage one of the FinOps rock stars at Carlsberg and an amazing FinOps ambassador, Sonal Gupta from Carlsberg. Good luck.
Thank you.
There you go.
Hello, everyone. How are you all doing in Amsterdam? Lovely city, isn't it? And I'm so excited to be here again, not on the stage, but in the city, and even more excited to talk about Carlsberg in the city of Heineken, isn't it? It's so interesting because sometimes competition keeps things very, very interesting, right? So let's start our talk. So I'm here to talk about data platforms in Carlsberg, and we'll go a second level on the Microsoft Fabric. We'll do a little bit of deep dive there. So to begin with, my name is Sonal. I'm the senior manager in Carlsberg. I'm leading FinOps team and also taking care of the cloud hosting environment for Western Europe. I joined Carlsberg in 2019. This is my 7th year because I enjoy free beers. So I'm loving working in Carlsberg. And in 2022, I got promoted and I got official FinOps title in my company. So that was already a successful achievement for me. Now, as far as my previous companies are concerned, I worked in all the tech giants, Cognizant, Accenture, Credit Suisse, Delphi, Bank of America, and so on. So I've had good experience working with all these global fortune companies. I'm very passionate about FinOps, and that's why I'm heavily engaged in all the FinOps events when it comes to speaking. And I'm very proud to say that I am an active speaker in FinOps XE, Empowering Women in Technology, Gartner, IDC, and so on. Enough about me. Now about my company. So I don't think Carlsberg needs an introduction. We all know what Carlsberg is. But apart from all the premium brands, we are also doing great in the alcohol-free brews and also the ciders, which is mainly Somersby, and we are also doing great in the soft drinks environment. Carlsberg is one of the fastest or largest brewing company in the world with around 175 years of rich heritage. We have a presence across the globe with 140 plus brands and 150 plus markets. Now, where we sit in Carlsberg, where this FinOps team sits in Carlsberg, just to give everybody an idea, we belong to the CT organization. And then we have like sort of global network and hosting team under which we sit. And then as long as the ITAM team is concerned, because we talk a lot about collaboration of FinOps and ITAM, so they sit in a different organization. They comes under partner and contract management. But having said that, since it's becoming a thing now to collaborate more with ITAM and with other personas, we are also having regular communication with ITAM, making sure that we work together and grow together. Now, why FinOps is important in Carlsberg, why we have been doing what we have been doing for the past 6-7 years, and why we got this leadership buy-in at the very early stage of FinOps and got all the attention from the executives. The main reason is that we are fully aligned with the objectives. So in Carlsberg, we have this 5 years of strategy. It's called Accelerate Sail. And a part of that, we have IIT 9 Grid for each year. So this year, our IIT 9 Grid is again funding the journey. I think cost is becoming a thing in all the organization. It's one of the most important thing to achieve and to look into. So of course, having said that, it wasn't a big deal for the executives to provide all their support to FinOps, and hence we have been really, really smooth in our journey. So couple of IIT 9 Grid we have for this year is the Funding the Digital Journey. As you all know, you all are FinOps practitioners. Funding the journey is a key. We make sure that whatever investments we are doing in the future, we are funding that through our savings, through our cost avoidance. And then simplified technology landscape. So, in Carlsberg, we are also looking into how we modernize our current environment, how we simplify our architecture space. So there is a lot to contribute there, which is why FinOps is getting all the support when it comes to architecture as well. Now, how are we interacting currently with executives? So we are interacting in 3 ways mainly. There are, of course, other ways, but mainly 3 ways. One is, of course, the data and reporting. As you know, in the famous inform phase, you need to be on the top of your game when you are providing this visibility and all the reporting that makes sense to the business so that they can take informed decisions. So that is one thing we have been doing in the past, and we are continue to do, provide all the valuable reports, customized based reports and so on. And then we have been driving FCQ. It's the SteerCo, committee with all the key stakeholders in Carlsberg, from different functions, data engineering, cloud center of excellence, all the top level executives. So, the aim of that meeting is to provide all this visibility to them, where we are in terms of, cost growth, trends, budget forecasting, and so on. So they get the overall picture as an executive summary. And then we have executive forums in Carlsberg, where we are, educating people, spreading the awareness of the importance of FinOps with, like monthly newsletters and articles and so on. So these are the 3 ways where we are interacting with executives. Now, our main topic, which is data platforms. So in Carlsberg, we have like different data platforms, some of which I've listed here. Databricks, then you have got Synapse, we have SAP HANA, we have Cosmos DB, SQL Managed Instance, and all these data platforms we are using to do different data stuff like data modeling, data orchestration, data processing, different kind of data analytics to be able to provide meaningful, outcomes to the breweries. But our main is Microsoft Fabric, which we have been, doing a lot of cost optimization into. So let's do a quick deep dive. First of all, what is Fabric? So Fabric, as you might be aware, is a unified data platform that connects with all the different data sources to provide you a single source of truth. So in Carlsberg, we have been using Fabric for quite some time. And we have been doing a lot of cost optimization in different data platforms by unit rate efficiency. So we have a lot of reservations. And first reservation we purchased back in 2020 on our Azure Synapse environment. And by doing that, we already reduced 45% cost, pay-as-you-go cost in that data platform. So we were doing good, and everything was very, very smooth. There was no huge spike, and so on. Now, going further, this year, we saw a sudden spike in the month of April. So, when everything was working fine, we were not looking so deeply into the RIs and so on, but all of a sudden, in the month of April, this cost spiked in Microsoft Fabric environment, as you can see in the graph. Now, let's see how this cost spiked up and what actually we did to control that cost. So then we found a couple of reasons, potential reasons why this cost basically got spiked up. One of which was in March 2024, if you recall, Microsoft announced that they are deprecating their Power BI Pro licenses, and they are moving into Fabric capacities, meaning like all the enterprise agreement customers were recommended to move from license model to consumption model. And then, because of which, we observe few things. We observe that, okay, capacity pricing, that is your per virtual core per hour, can be higher than your user licensing. Then you've got larger data refresh that consume more compute, hence more cost. And then your FSKUs is built, doesn't matter if you utilize them fully or not. And then also the rapid growth in data files, that requires a lot of storage, and so on. So that may be some of the reasons we found that has contributed to the cost spike, but we were obviously still doing a deep dive, still exploring what is the actual cost. And then, from there, we sort of started our journey. We started implementing different practices in our FinOps Fabric environment. And we, of course, implemented that with the 3 famous FinOps stages: inform, optimize, and operate. In the inform phase, as you all know, we provided all the relevant data. We created a work stream with all the different stakeholders from both Microsoft and Carlsberg's organization. We had data SMEs from Microsoft. We had cost experts from Microsoft. We had, a data engineering team and Cloud Center of Excellence team from Carlsberg as well. Then we also set up weekly catch-up calls just to make sure that we all are aligned, we all are synced, and if there is any gap, we discuss that. And then also we, provide all the dashboard. We set up the customized based reports for them in order to see the cost where it is moving. Now in the optimized phase, what we did basically, we turned all those insights into savings. How? We basically purchased additional RIs, so that we reduce the cost for the additional capacities. And then the second was we moved some of the workspaces to the true size capacities, and then also true down some of the capacities from F64 size, for example, to F8 or F16 based on the utilization. So we saw a lot of savings. We saw a lot of cost drop as soon as we did that. And then we also did a lot of data cleanups. We made sure that there is no idle workspace that is hanging around. So now in the operate phase, we ensure that there is a continuous efficiency. We installed Fabric's metrics app in order to track our utilization of compute and storage. And then we saw that the cost started going downwards, as you can see in this picture. So from April until August, you can see how the cost is dipping after implementing FinOps. So now I want to talk a little bit about the difference between FinOps that you do elsewhere versus FinOps that you do in Fabric. In multi-cloud FinOps, you cover entire cloud services. You cover IaaS, you cover PaaS, SaaS, all cloud vendors, Azure, GCP, AWS, everything. But in FinOps, since you are doing in Fabric, since you are doing FinOps in Fabric, you are only considering Fabric as a service. And in Fabric, you have different data services like Power BI, you have data engineering, and so on. And that all comes under one umbrella, which is Microsoft Fabric. So you are basically doing FinOps in Fabric environment only. Then optimization, so there are different optimization actions you take in the multi-cloud FinOps, like you right-size your VMs, you snooze your VMs, you auto-scale your VMs, and so on. But in Fabric, you are actually fine-tuning the capacity. You are working on the capacity because it works on the capacity level. Now, in multi-cloud FinOps, you do RI on the specific compute shape, but in Fabric, you are doing RIs on the capacity and not on the compute or on the storage. And last but not least, you are doing infrastructure tuning in multi-cloud FinOps, whereas in Fabric, you are doing FinOps on the compute level, not on the infrastructure level. So these are some of the major differences I found when I was working or implementing FinOps on Fabric. That these are the main differences, but at the end, principles are same, concepts is same. You apply the same logic on doing FinOps on different data platforms, but of course, you look into different cost levers. I think that's the main difference. That's the only message I want to give here. Now, next steps, what we are doing, or we will do, is we will expand our FinOps into different data platform scope, just to make sure that not only Fabric, but we are doing cost optimization. We are looking into getting value from all these data platforms that are consuming, a lot of cost and that are the most cost contributors in Carlsberg. And then we will also expand the RIs going forward. We will also explore new opportunities to control our cost. So with that, this is the end of my session. I hope you have a lovely day ahead in Amsterdam. Thank you and see you around. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Sonal. Excellent work. All right, we're in the home stretch here, last section. So one of the things we wanted to end on is all of the words and excitement around AI. I'm sure we've said it a few times already, but AI specifically, we're seeing, is creating a lot more demand for FinOps because cost is increasingly becoming a threat to the success of many of these AI programs. People are greenlighting a lot of AI services and struggling to forecast, estimate how much they're going to spend, figure out the token optimization, and we're seeing a big increase of practices who are doing management of AI as part of that. Global AI spending across licensing and cloud, a lot of the financial services organizations buying GPUs is exploding. It's on track to overtake cloud spending at a much faster rate than any other type of spending. So when we talk about AI, there's two sides. There's FinOps for AI. How do we use FinOps to get more value out of our AI? And then there's AI for FinOps. How do we use AI to be better at the FinOps?
Sorry?
If you recall, AI sits across multiple types of technology spend. So it's accelerating a lot of the notion that you need to do FinOps across these areas because a lot of companies have their generative AI services on AWS or Google. They've got their OpenAI tokens they're trying to manage. They've bought some GPUs or leased them or borrowed them, and they're needing to apply this across the stack. So as part of this, you need to do that constant reiteration of what are we trying to accomplish in our FinOps scope. For AI, it's usually not about cost because a lot of your boards are saying, use AI to drive more business value. We'll figure out the cost later. So as you build your scope for AI, you're likely going to really focus on speed, innovation. You're probably going to be more worried about forecasting and starting to think about allocating, but you're not going to be optimizing yet. That will come later. But the thing you need to be thinking about is how do you get the allocation in place so you can later tie value back when the CFO comes knocking and asks, what value did we get from all this spending? In AI, this beautiful eye chart, there are so many more optimization levers to pull. FinOps in the general cloud environment, along the bottom here, looks at GPUs, it looks at network, storage, all these things exist. AI has GPUs in there. You've got to start thinking about MLOps tool selections. You've got items around prompt routing. Can I cache those prompts? Can I do prompt engineering? And then ultimately, you get into building better user interface layers to handle context windows, to plan for token needs. There's all these levers to pull. Every one of these green boxes is a moment for financial optimization, a financial moment that is going to be needing to be baked in, not after the fact, retroactively in FinOps, but through the entire life cycle, from business case for your AI to deployment out to your customer. The other side of this is how do we do AI on FinOps? We are not seeing as many companies yet be successful in this area. A lot of them thinking about how do I manage the cost of AI. But there's a lot of materials coming. There's some great stories that are emerging of those doing automated right-sizing as a start, but then ultimately moving toward rewriting code to be more cost-effective. So we encourage you to consider checking out all of these great open source resources on FinOps.org. And welcome back, Ruben.
Yeah, I just want to mention as well, and we've said that everything that we do is in order to support you. And some of you have already taken this course, but we have a FinOps for AI learning series as well, and we've just launched the first level of the FinOps for AI training for you to actually take all of these cost allocation principles and all of these different aspects of managing FinOps for AI as well. And if you go onto our website, you will see the full curriculum of training that we have available, and there is a 20% discount code as well if you use AI20 when you purchase your training course, and highly recommend it, and really looking forward to the rest of the series. All right, we've covered community, we've covered the framework, we've covered the certification, we've covered state of FinOps. Now let's talk focus on focus. And we've just released at FinOps X in San Diego the 1.2 version, in which we added columns to really cater for those SaaS use cases with different currencies as well and other means of billing. And I just wanted to give you like the primer on focus. So what we're trying to do is come up with a unified format for Cloud Plus billing data. And the idea is that you get a lot of data streams from different billing providers in focus format, so you're actually able to, in a very simple way, analyze the data across multiple providers within your practice and provide it back to your business stakeholders. Focus 1.3 has been ratified, so I would love to give you a bit of a sort of sneak preview on what we are adding, and it comes down to three aspects. One is that we are allowing provider-defined split cost allocation for some services. So think of container costs when you have like one big bill for your container infrastructure, but all of the namespaces underneath it are also being virtual lines on your bill. And with the 1.3 spec, we allow you to manage those costs as well. Same with, for example, query billing in warehouses in Snowflake, for example. The second one ties back to the item use cases. A lot of your organizations have these enterprise agreements, private pricing commitments, and with adding specific columns, you're able to track against your contractual commitments that you've closed with your providers. And last but not least, we are clarifying some of the requirements within the spec to provide clarity around some of these columns. So expect a release at FinOps X in San Diego.
This Focus 1.3 release happens December 10th. How many of you are using current versions of Focus anywhere?
Nice.
All right. Oh, good. Maybe 40% of you. There was a great talk in Barcelona. I saw ST Microelectronics out here, as well as the European Parliament, who's also here, I think, who did talks in Barcelona about that. There they are. So currently, the cloud Focus is just a specification, right? So we need to rely on the cloud providers, the vendors, to provide support for that. So some of them have 1.0 support. Azure is ahead with 1.2 support. Databricks has 1.2 support. This new release, when it lands in December, will add these things that will then look for the vendors to follow. So please encourage your vendors to pick up support for the latest version so you can get more functionality out of Focus.
Yeah, definitely. And also, again, with the certification, we are supporting you with introductions to Focus, but also the Focused Analyst certification course. So definitely check it out. And certainly with adding more scopes, I believe Focus is the language of FinOps. With adding more scopes, we are, Focus specification is following suit and enabling those use cases with different billing providers. All right, we're almost there.
Last but not least, we wanted to give you a little preview of what is coming in June. If you want to give us a click there.
Sure.
Our mission is to help all of you advance your careers. Welcome home.
FinOps is a space to connect, to learn, to share. It's an opportunity to be with those who get you, with those who do the work you do every day.
And we hear a lot of people talking about AI almost as a dedicated segment, or one might say scope. So who went to a party last night? All right, who went to all the parties last night?
I have really been enjoying all of the sessions about expanding FinOps scopes into other areas and really just extending FinOps reach.
Even people that you never met before, they'll come up to you and discuss anything and everything about FinOps.
So let's talk about AI.
Let's talk about AI.
Ooh, that was awkward. I realized I almost wore the same shirt that was in that video today. That would have been really embarrassing. So registration for FinOpsX just opened a few days ago. So consider building your case now. If you can give me one more click. And critically, call for proposals is open right now. So if you want to submit a talk, which might help with your business case to attend, please consider putting one in. Benjamin from J&J, who was up here, I think mentioned he just put one in. Now's the time to share your story. So please consider joining us for 3 days of this type of interaction in June 2026. And with that, what's next?
Scott, thank you.
And thank you, of course, to the premier members of the FinOps Foundation who make a lot of this possible.
Perfect. So thank you so much, JR. We're at the end of the keynote. I just want to provide you with a few logistical aspects. So we have 2 types of sessions the rest of the day. We have our chalk talks, and they're both like on the upper level. The kleine zaal, or the little room, or kleine zaal, if you want to Americanize it. It's on the right-hand side, all the way on the top, and the atrium zaal is on the left hand, like the large staircases up. You can check your the events page for the agenda where you need to be. And also there are some vendor events this evening as well. They're also on our website as well. But to close off, JR, do you remember what my walk-on music was?
Was it the A-Team?
It was the A-Team. You're an 80s kid, right?
I am an 80s kid.
80s kid, say. That was with a reason, of course. The FinOps Foundation staff is here as well, so we brought the A-Team as well. So you can ask them any questions. Also, if you're looking for networking connections, please, take one of us on the shoulders, and we're definitely here to help. But
Hey everyone, producer Andrew here. Thank you so much for watching and for your support. For more FinOps X 2025 content, go check out our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe, and leave comments and questions for all of our wonderful speakers. We appreciate your support.